Hello everybody and welcome into another round of Midwest Endurance Series. Sorry about the delay there on the audio, I was having some technical difficulties there. But as you can see, we're here in the Netherlands and we've got about almost a full grid here for you tonight, 15 drivers, so that means we are running a full quality session here tonight. As you can see, we've got a couple lap times up on the board already. Got a stonking 112.158 there from Helgen over in the Alpine side of the things, followed there in the Williams by the Johnny Damon with a 112.867. We got Villeneuve also with a 112.9. Those are going to be the only drivers to have set a time so far. As you can see, there's a couple more out on track and a couple more in the pits still waiting. Pulling up our standings here for our Constructors Championship, and we've got Williams still holding out a solid lead over Aston Martin, keeping that lead pretty consistent with about 20 points difference there. And then following Aston Martin is going to be the Mercedes crew with a total of 120 points, followed by Alfa Romeo and Ferrari, going to be rounding out your top five. Taking a look over at our driver standings, you got Meeb taking his dominant lead of the championship here with 97 points over El Majacco. It's on 87 points, followed by Lancey on 80. And all three of these guys have overtaken Skrenzy in the standings after a good showing between the three of them last week. Nice battling all through the pack. And then just behind that, though, you've got A-Dub there in the McLaren side of things. He's not too far. He's just about 30 points off, so he does have quite a bit of work to put in. But I think he would be able to maybe challenge for third or fourth here in the standings towards the end of the season. We're on round 6 of 8, so just a few more races for these guys to run here, and then that'll be that. So it's only a matter of time now until Meeb or Jacko takes his championship. Might come down to this race, next race, I'm not quite sure. Gonna have to do some points tallying for you guys and let you know on that one. You can see Helgen is going to be our first retirement of the evening from qualifying. Seems pretty happy with his 112 there up to the top of the field, so not looking like he's too worried about that one. See Ford there set a time on intermediate tires, so not even close to competitive there on those slower ones there. So we'll see what everybody has to offer then. Ginnett has also retired already, and he did not set a lap time at all, so he will be starting from the back. Meeb there has set the fastest lap of the 1:11.3 there in the Mercedes. And he's been having a pretty dominant run of things here in the last few races. You know, not a whole lot of competition can really stop him from his dominant runs like he's shown us this season so far. And he has won the last 3 races in a row. Skrenzy has won a single race, as has Lightwork. So Meeb is definitely looking like the driver to watch out there these days. He has quite a lot of speed, and not too many people can challenge him. We've seen Jacko have quite a few good battles with him, and Lancey too. For back when we were in France, we saw them battling for a good little while on track before we saw some penalties and a couple spins take a few people out of contention there. But anyone down in the chat, let me know who you think is gonna be taking the win tonight, and who do you see on the top 3 of your podium? I'm thinking we're definitely going to be seeing something from the likes of Meeb. I'm curious to see if Lancey's got anything for us tonight. Going to be keeping an eye on Slayer Eyes. Not sure it'll make it up to the podium, but definitely a top 5 runner for sure. Going to be seeing quite a few drivers coming into the pits now, not many out on track. Looks like we got A-Dub here going to set a lap himself. You know, A-Dub is definitely somebody you want to keep your eye on. He is very, very quick if you give him the opportunity, and he's very consistent the last few races as well, staying in that top 5 fight. And he's even had some pretty good drives from the back over the season and last. So definitely somebody you'd be wanting to keep your eyes on throughout this race. We'll go ahead and ride on board with our championship leader Meeb here in the Mercedes. See what kind of lap he's got on his warm-up here. You get to see where he likes to get his tires nice and warmed up to, and then we'll just ride on board with him throughout his lap. Going to see Lancey there retiring as well. He's happy with his 115 there. And we're also going to see the Gronk retiring from this session. And mentioning the Gronk, we've got him, Spider, are both new drivers here in this series for us tonight, as well as Jones Drew. So all three of them are new drivers. We just want to give them a shout out for coming in and checking it out and seeing what we're all about here. And curious to see what their pace is like throughout this race, and hopefully we'll be seeing us more racing from them throughout the remainder of this season. Side to Gabry there, getting a little bit wide and off in the grass. Thinking Red Bull's going to be on top. You know, you guys are pretty nice sitting up there in 4th and 5th, so let's see you guys turn that into a podium, eh? Love to see some Red Bulls up on the podium. See Meeb retiring now there. He's got the fastest lap time with a 1:11.323 there on his set of soft tires. See a couple of these guys out on intermediates and wets, and they're doing that just to save an extra set of softs for the next stages of qualifying, or even for the race as well. You can never have too many soft set of tires. So some of these guys like to maximize as many as they can just for different strategy options and anything else they'd like to do with that. So we just got a few guys in the pits now. I imagine we're going to see all of them retiring as well here pretty shortly. See, Alma Jacko has not set a lap, so I'm curious if we're going to see him come out and set a lap. We know he's pretty quick, so I would imagine he would want to start out in the front instead of starting from the back there. Wouldn't be too much sense there. Again, just to remind everyone of our standings, we got Williams with a 20-point lead over Aston Martin there, followed there quickly by Mercedes. Mercedes has been a bit of a one-man show by Meeb there for a few races, hasn't had a teammate recently, so really good effort from him to get his team up into the top three, and with his previous running streak of wins, excuse me, he's been able to help out with that a lot, which brings me over to our driver standings, where we see Meeb sitting with a 10-point lead over El Majaco, and El Majaco's got himself a 7-point lead over Lancey. And then behind that, we're going to see Skrenzi still sitting there in 71 points. Haven't seen him out here in a little while. Not sure we're going to see him making a return or not. But followed behind that, we've got A-Dub there sitting in the McLaren crew there, and a few more good solid runs from him, and he was definitely going to be able to take over fourth in the standings without question. See DeGabry there without most of his front wing there, so it looks like he had a little bit of an incident out on the track there. Got just 50 seconds left in qualifying. I would imagine everyone's going to be either retiring or just letting this clock run out here. But we'll be moving on to Q2, and then after that we got the top 10 shootout for Q3, and then we've got 72 laps here at Zandvoort for you. So it'll be a pretty interesting show. Be sure to stick around if you enjoy some nice racing. That's what these guys are here to do, and that's what they do week in, week out. I've raced quite a few of these guys, and all of them are very accomplished, very skilled drivers, and they're honestly super fun to commentate for every other weekend. It's been a big treat this season, and looking forward to bringing this series back for a season 3. Stay tuned on that. We'll have some more details about that coming out here a little bit later. So you can see, so we got 4 new reserve drivers there. Villeneuve has stated there for me. I see 3 of them, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, sitting right up there in top. Nice response from them to be showing up and giving everybody a little bit of what they got. They do look pretty fast. You might have to work a little bit there tonight, Bill. See there, we got a Red Bull and a McLaren coming out of the pits already. We got A-Dub looking like he's going to be the first one out onto the track there. Zandvoort is a pretty tricky circuit. As you can see, there's a lot of ups and downs, kind of like a roller coaster effect with some of these corners having different levels of banking. You always gotta stay on your toes, and you gotta know where the faster lines are if you're gonna want to make overtakes in some of the more unconventional parts of this track. We do have a DRS zone down the start-finish straight, though, and that is where you may see quite a bit of overtaking coming out of that final corner and coming into the first corner as well. So a little bit interesting, and this will be the other DRS zone. As you can see, he's popped that one open there for a nice little bit, and you gotta be tight on the brakes here. Kind of cut that a little bit as you see him do there, and get a nice rotation. It's a little bit wobbly coming through there, not super confident, under control there. And coming up now to this final corner here is this long sweeping right-hander. It's a pretty fun corner, pretty fun track to just race along, honestly. I always enjoy coming here every season. See now, A-Dub is the first on his flying lap. We'll just remain on board with him. We're seeing a bit of a yellow flags over in Sector 3. It looks like a couple of the drivers got a little closer than they'd like. Coming now into Sector 2. This corner is a little bit of an interesting one. It's kind of like almost like a little bit of a blind corner with how far into it the apex is hidden. But he does a nice job of rotating the car through here, staying off the curbs, doesn't want any extra wheel spin or floor damage. It's not something you're going to want to have during these 100% races, especially because 72 laps is a long time to go if you've got damaged car. Coming into Sector 3 now. It's been a pretty solid run from him from the start. Just a little bit wobbly in Sector 1, but has done well to make up for it since then. See what kind of lap time he's able to produce for us here as he's going to be coming up across the line. It's going to be a 112.1 there from A-Dub, so not too much faster than we saw previously in the session. So we'll see what anybody else has, as Jones Drew there with the 113.1, but Lancey with the 112.6 in the Williams there. Elma Jacko now shows his pace with a 111.5, so that's going to be quite a bit faster than anything we've seen tonight there in that Aston Martin. So Elma Jacko is a very calculated driver. He always knows how to measure his risks against his rewards and puts in solid performances every week. Even if he's got a damaged car, you know, you can still expect him to finish in the top 10 and almost always on the top 5. See quite a few more drivers now setting some lap times there. Haldun sets the second fastest time with the 112.013, just ahead of A-Dub there. Forward with the 112.3 in the Ferrari camp. Gronk there, and then one of our new drivers there in the other Red Bull. 112.7 from him. Spider is one of our others as well, showing up in the Haas. Jones Drew getting out of the way for some traffic there. That's what we like to see. Josh SR5 in the other Ferrari here. We got Villeneuve down in the AlphaTauri camp, keeping it down week in, week out for those guys. Got Johnny Damon here in the other Williams. Teammate with Lancey there. Not as fast of a driver, but we can still see some pretty good results from him. And we got Slayer Eyes down here in the Alfa Romeo. Personally racing against him in Division 3, and this guy knows how to put together a lap, let me tell you. Got Meeb still in the pits. The Gabri's coming out as well now. Jacko into the pits, as most of these guys in the top are going to be coming in now that they've set laps, and just be waiting until a little bit later in the session, and then they'll go out there and show everybody what they've got. DeGabry here's just getting himself a little bit of track time. Might not have had much practice earlier this week. I saw him in the chat mentioning he needed a little bit more practice to feel comfortable. See Johnny Damon on 2-lap-old tires out there in the Williams, sitting 9th currently with a 113.0, and he is going to be out of fuel, so on his way back into the pits rather shortly. Slayer is sitting up there in P4. I told you he's a driver who knows how to put together a pretty good lap. He's got himself a 112.2 to work with so far, and I imagine he's only going to be getting quite a bit faster than that as this session and the next go on. A-Dub still sitting up there in P3 as well. See Jones on an outlap again here, looking like he wants to improve his time, get himself up into the top 10 there. Not wanting to see himself dropped there. So in Q2, the top 10 drivers are going to move on to Q3, and everyone else will, outside of the top 10, will hold that position for the start of the race. Seeing a pretty close bunching of the field here as well. We've got the top second through 7th drivers all within 700ths or 7/10ths of a second, excuse me, there. So we expect to see some pretty close action there, and then behind that we've got everyone running in a 13s mostly there, and we've got Elma Jacko is the only driver so far to dip into the 111s. We'll see if Meeb's able to do that on his lap. We'll go ahead and hop on board with him now, as it looks like he's just started his flyer and set the fastest Sector 1 time as well. So curious to see how he holds his pace throughout the remainder of this lap. See Meeb there with a 111.2. He goes 3/10ths faster there than Jacko has been able to do so far for us today. So a very impressive lap from him to claim that provisional pole for this particular moment. Don't know that anybody's going to try to challenge that or have anything to challenge that with. Got about 5 minutes left in Q2, and then we're going to be saying goodbye to the bottom 5 drivers. So just have the top 10 shootout after that. So anyone in the bottom 5 are going to be looking to improve their laps as much as they can. It's going to be a little bit of a task for them. They got about 3 or 4 tenths to close there in 11th place to get into the top 10. We've seen a couple yellow flags through Sector 3, but might be just a little bit of traffic there. Got quite a few drivers out on track at the moment. Got Villeneuve here on a fresh set, looking like he's got something, possibly. Check back in with him in a little bit. We've got Johnny Damon out on a fresh lap as well, looking to break inside there. Spider behind him, also behind him in the qualification at the moment, looking to get himself out as well. Josh SR5 making his way out of the pits now as well. We've got DeGabry is still stationary in the pits, so we'll see if he's got himself a plan to get out on track and get into the top 5 there. See Lancey and me both retiring from the session, both into the 111s as well. So they are very confident in those times, no way they should be dropping down. See Spider TJ7 though, with an impressive 111.2, could claim P2 currently is qualifying, and that's gonna be a little bit puzzling for some of those top guys up there, realizing that they're gonna have a new threat here in the Haas department for today's race potentially. So we'll see how that affects everyone's strategies and what they're going to be doing to counter that. See Villeneuve not able to slow his car down enough there, and so you see him escape to the gravel trap, and that is going to all but ruin his lap. So he's going to have to come around, maybe get a fresh set of tires if he wants them, or try to take those. Not sure if he's on an in-lap now or not. We'll see him diving into the pits now. A-Dub is going to also retire from the session there in 7th place in that McLaren. So it's just a few retirements now. Curious to see where anyone else is going to finish up, or if they're just going to see mostly retirements from this point. See Villeneuve also retiring from the session in P10. He's fairly confident in his pace there. Josh SR5 crosses the line and is unable to improve upon his qualifying time. Yeah, Vil, I don't blame you one bit. This is not a track that I'm very confident at either, but I always enjoy racing here, just not very good at it. Maybe better to start outside the front there to avoid any top 10 turn 1 madness. It's got someone just in here, slipstream of him there behind him, so props to them for being able to plant themselves on track at the right timing to get that slipstream there. That would definitely be beneficial on a track like this, especially in these DRS zones. They aren't super long, so any advantage you can really get on anyone else during qualifying is going to be a huge improvement for you. Forward sets the fastest Sector 2 time for a moment there as well. And with lap we're going to see Ford move himself up from P10 all the way up to P4 within 111.6, so great effort from him there to have that kind of a pace to still be showing there. He put himself out of danger there of getting dropped. Like the only driver on track still who has some to improve upon is going to be DeGabry. Not sure if he's going to be able to make his way around, if he's on a hot lap right now or if he's just on a cool down lap. That's right, Bill. Take a little break. We've got 10 minutes before we get going with the racing here for Q3. I'm not worried. If you could race and message at the same time, that would be very impressive. There you have it. That'll be the end of Q2 for us here today at Zandvoort. But there you can see your top 10 Meeb, Spider, Jack are going to be your top 3 there. So impressive performances from them. We saw them all get into the sub 111s there, as we saw that from our top 7 as well. Actually, wow, that's a impressive feat there. Don't see super often where we see that consistent level of driving amongst our top 10. Usually you see the top 3, 4, 5 all can get pretty consistent with each other, but outside of that, nothing too crazy. So we should be in for a pretty good race here tonight. Excited to see what these new drivers have to offer for us. 12 minutes here in Q3 for these top 10 drivers to really show us what they've got in their one lap pace overall and see who's going to be able to come out on top here and claim pole tonight. Should be a pretty interesting mix here amongst these guys. We're going to see Jones and Jacko are going to be a couple of the first out on track there, followed by A-Dub and McLaren behind them. Definitely thinking like we could be seeing a podium mix made up here of Meeb, Jacko, and maybe even Spider, if I do say so myself. Not sure what we're going to see about his overall pace throughout a 100% race. Haven't seen him before, but if it's anything like his one lap pace, we should be in for a pretty good show here, as he does have quite a bit of that. I can see we've got Baba Yaga up in this group now as well. He missed first little bit of qualifying, so he'll be starting out in the back. Not sure what car he's going to be able to grab. His Red Bull seats were occupied, but I'm sure we'll see him hop in somewhere. Go ahead and ride on board with Jacko here throughout this lap. See him get a little bit of oversteer there, but he does well to correct it there. Doesn't seem to lose hardly any time doing that as well. So good on him to be able to recognize that quickly and take care of it just as fast. Hey man, I've seen you move up at least like 2 or 3 places, and every time we come together on track, oh, we got a big spin there from Jacko. That is unfortunate for him, but he's able to get himself off the racing line. We'll see if that's going to impede A-Dub there. It looks like he might have had to let off there. I'm going to see Jones with a 112.1 for the fastest lap. I'm just going to see Jacko coming straight back into the pits there for a fresh set after he would have certainly flat spotted his tires, but A-Dub sets a 111, only be outdone by Meeb with a 110. That's an impressive lap time there from Meeb. See forward there with the 111.9 for his first lap out. So pretty solid lap time there. You can probably see most of these guys dropping into the 111s throughout this year. So Jacko has yet to set a time, but Lancey's sitting out with a 110.8, or excuse me, Meeb with a 110.8, followed by Lancey with a 111.0, and then quickly by Spider there with a 111.5. So all but Jacko have set lap times. Not sure when we're gonna see. Yeah, we're gonna see him coming out of the pits currently now. Gonna be a good window for him to get out there and not have to worry about anybody out on track, as everyone's on soft, so nobody's gonna be wanting to run out there more than they have to on those tires. Jacko taking it nice and slow, wanting to take care of his tires as much as he can, not wanting to put any unnecessary stress and wear them out. Want as much tread and traction as you can for these qualifying laps. Once you're done with these tires in here, you don't necessarily have to take them on into the race with you anymore, unless your strategy calls for a set or two of softs. So archery practice sounds pretty important. Glad to see you made it just in time for the race there, Baba Yaga. So wishing God the best of luck there in that tournament. And wishing you the best of luck tonight as well. See Jacko there setting the fastest sector 2 time as well, so he's on a flying lap at the moment. So that's going to be a 111.3 for him. That's going to see him sitting P3 currently. So just a 3/10 behind Lancey there ahead of him, and 5/10 off of pole position. So we'll see what he's able to do in the later stages once his track gets a little more tread on it from these guys racing on it, doing some qualifying runs. There's going to be a little bit of rubber put down and give him just a little more traction for these laps. So towards the end of qualifying is when you're going to see the fastest times, as the track will have the most traction grip rubber on it. So we'll see. Hopefully he's able to improve there. I'd like to see another front row start from Jacko this weekend. Hogan and A-Dub are also just about to be starting some flyers here as well. Got A-Dub back in sector 2. Helen's just starting his now. Let's see how they're not able to improve on his time much there. Let's see him currently sitting in P8. He got forward down in the Ferrari in P9. Coming through Sector 2 as well. Looking like he's going to be starting his lap here pretty soon. Johnny Damon just behind him. Or, excuse me, Johnny Damon is behind A-Dub there on track. Coming into Sector 3 now. Yellow flags from a stopped car there in Sector 2. Johnny Damon is able to improve on his time. And that is going to look like a spin there from Halligan. Trying to get himself facing the right direction there. He's got a little bit of traffic coming up behind him. Does well to avoid that there. That's going to be his teammate. Or no, excuse me, not his teammate. Williams and Alpine's look very similar colors on track. You can see Meeb making his way out of the pits now. Looking like he wants to see if he can improve on his lap time there. He's got a 1:10.8, so he's 2/10 clear of anybody else. But with those other guys pretty close there, I'm not sure he's going to want to risk it there on 2/10. Is quite a bit of speed to have around a lap here, but you know, it could always be outdone. And it's always best just to be out on track and go for it, because you never know what could happen here in these qualifying sessions. See Jacko coming around Sector 3 now as well, the final corner. See Helgeland, there he's going to be retiring down in P8, but he has himself a 1:11.6. He drops down to P9 currently as well. Ford saw his time improve down from P10 up to P6, so good effort from him there. Get himself back up into that midfield where we normally see him facing off against a couple of drivers like A-Dub, and I imagine he's going to have Jones, Drew, maybe the Gronk to battle with today. See Jacko getting around a little bit of traffic there from those Red Bull drivers. Lancy with a 1:10.5 sets a new fastest lap. Like I said, that 2/10 was clear, but you can never be too careful here in qualifying sessions. A lot can change in 20 seconds. Just as I say that, Jacko gets a little bit loose on it coming out of that final corner. Is going to compromise a little bit of his time. It looks like he's not going to be risking it there. Just going to be diving straight into the pits now. See Jones now starting himself a flying lap. Spider's coming into the pits there. It's going to be his final time with a 1:11.279 there for the Haas. I haven't seen a Haas out here in a couple weeks. At negative 30 Celsius, that is a lot. I'm gonna Google that, see what that is in American, because that seems a tad bit excessive if you ask me. Not including the wind factor, yeah, that'd be about negative 22 here. I'm gonna see if forward has left the session. Not sure what's happened with that there, but yeah, negative 22. That's pretty cold, if I do say so myself. But it's gonna be it for qualifying here. You're gonna see Lancy taking pole with a 1:10.5, Meeb with a 1:10.8 there, taking P2. Spider in the Haas with a 1:11.279. See A-Dub there in P5 in the McLaren with 1:11.378, Ford with a 1:11.464, Jones there and Gronk, Red Bull teammates. We're going to be side by side running out 7th and 8th. Then looking at 9th, we've got Helling in the Alpine, and then Johnny Damon is going to be rounding out your top 10 there in the Williams. So impressive lap from Lancey there to swipe that pole position away from me, but we should be in for a pretty interesting race here. Got a lot of fast drivers in the top 5, a couple more outside. Saw Jones and Gronk both put in pretty good lap times at the beginning stages of qualifying, so it should be an interesting mix. See what they've got for those top 5 drivers. And our top 10 here is it's a little bit different than we normally see it. Normally we only got about 7 or 8 drivers, but should be a good mix here for us this evening. So it looks like we did have a little bit of a technical difficulties, so you're going to have to get a lobby reset going here. So it may just be a moment or two before we get going with the racing. So again, apologies on that. We had a little bit of a delay here. The EA Codemasters boys, they don't like to make it easy for us to host these events. You sometimes it's just having a little bit of a difficulty keeping everybody in the lobby, but we'll get everybody back in here and up and going as soon as we can. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're just getting ready to go now. Thank you for being patient with us there. So you had to restart our lobby there, but should be getting ready to go. We got 72 laps here for you, and it looks like we might be having a little bit of rain towards the end of this race. Might throw a wrench in some of these guys' strategies. We'll see what they come out with for us this evening. Or did your game crash again? See about getting you a new invite. Seems to be the game is not wanting to cooperate with us this evening, but it appears you're still having a little bit of an issue here getting one of these guys into this game. So it'll be just another moment longer. So there we go, everybody. We're just getting this loaded in now. So some of these guys are going to be setting up their final strategies, making sure their setups are all applied. And then we'll be able to get going on the green flags here for us this evening. Thank you again for all your patience. We should be going in about 4 or 5 minutes or so. So it looks like we're still having some technical difficulties here, so I'm gonna have to restart our lobby once again for you. So I'm sorry about all these difficulties we've been having tonight, but we'll try to get this racing going as quickly as possible as we can for you guys.